I don't know about you, but when someone thinks that they can win an argument against me by first telling me what my position is and then telling me to argue that, really makes me want to light a bitch on fire. Let's do this. I've argued this point before, but let's face it, it still sticks in my craw from time to time. What is an atheist? No one seems able to agree on that one. Does an atheist say, no, God definitely does not exist no matter what? Or is an atheist someone who says, I simply have not been convinced, I am not a theist, I'm not a believer? Now, for my money, it's either one of those. An atheist is just anyone who's not a theist. But a lot of people just simply don't agree. And the people who seem to disagree the most are theists. And it seems to me that the reason they do that is specifically so that they can argue against what they want to argue against, what they find easier to argue against, rather than the actual position people hold, and confronting the fact that they have no evidence for their position. Have a look at some of the shit we gotta deal with here.
What is an atheist? Well, whenever you see the word "a" in front of something in the Greek, a lot of times it means not, okay? Like atheist, not God. That's what it means. The atheist says there is no God. Now, how do you prove a negative? Well, the answer is you don't.
Any belief, even a belief that there is not a God, requires some faith. And yes, atheism is in fact a faith.
An atheist says there is no God.
Atheism is described as the doctrine or disbelief in a God or in a supreme being.
Has there ever been an atheist anywhere?
And don't just use the old cop-out that atheism is a lack of belief or a lack of faith. That just doesn't make sense, guys. You believe that there's not a God, so it's a belief.
Ooh, listen to them try to define my position for me. Yeah. Okay, except my position actually is that I lack belief. I do not have sufficient evidence to be able to say there is a God. I have no evidence whatsoever that has been even remotely convincing. Now, I'm still open to evidence if you can present it, but the problem is that you people have never been able to present the kind of evidence that holds up outside of my own head, the kind of evidence that doesn't require belief right on its face.
Just because they don't deem my evidence reliable doesn't mean it's not evidence.
Oh, really? Well, then by that logic, this Xbox controller is proof that God does not exist, and you don't get to say it's not evidence because I get to decide what evidence is. You see how that works? Or rather, do you see how that doesn't work? The truth is, we need rules to say what constitutes evidence. We can't run on faith. We have to run on things we can see and test and run experiments on in an objective, empirical way. Otherwise, we don't have a case. It cannot come from a book. It cannot be on someone's say-so. It can't just be inside our own heads. It has to be something that can be checked outside of those sources. It has to be something that we can run an experiment on, and it doesn't require belief right up front. The fact is, I get to decide what my position is, and frankly, I should get to decide what I call it. I'm calling myself an atheist because I'm not a theist. And I'm not a theist because you people who are theists have never been able to prove your case in a way that didn't require faith. Therefore, I'm not one of you. I'm still open to hearing your case. I'm still open to the idea that maybe a God does exist, but you're going to have to prove it to me. It can't just be on your say-so. Now, to be honest, to be perfectly honest, I do think you're full of shit. But even if a God does exist, I still think you're full of shit because your method of saying so, your reasons for saying a God exists, stink. It's that simple. What else can I say? But the fact is, you don't get to define my position and then tell me to defend it. I define my own position, and I'll defend that. So you don't get to say atheists don't exist. I am one, and I probably always will be one unless you people can get your shit together. But you don't get to say what atheism means and then tell me to defend it. Doesn't work like that. This is Bionic Dan saying, don't run on automatic. Instead, please, think. And remember, if it can't be in your hand, it's all in your head.